So, you're probably asking yourself, why is Drew so tiny in the frame? Well, that's because this video is 8K and this is a 4K image. But with a little bit of magic, I can be giant! I'm like Ant-Man. Today on the camera department, we're gonna talk about 8K, how you too can get 8K onto YouTube simply using a GH5. Let's go. Obviously, I've scaled things up because I don't have a camera that shoots, well, I do, but I'm not using the camera that shoots 8K. I'm using a camera that shoots technically 4K, but does have a 6K anamorphic, high resolution anamorphic mode that will allow you to kind of reframe and meet the standards of 8K for YouTube, right? Now, necessarily, if you want to do full frame, it's going to be a little bit tricky. For those doing the calculations, it doesn't technically fit. However, it does in an anamorphic setting, so you can kind of get away with it that way. So you actually get latitude, a 100% image, which we'll see here. As you can see, this is 100%, and then when we shrink it down, we get all the way to 77, so you can kind of pick where you want to play in that space. Now, you might be asking yourself, what about shooting a non-anamorphic lens in 6K high res? Let's give it a test, see what it does. All right, so this clip, 6K high-res anamorphic on the Leica 12-60. So this is a 4:3 image that I have zoomed in to meet the standards of the timeline. So again, 6K high-res image, 4:3 is what it shows because the lens is not anamorphic. And I've dropped it onto an 8K timeline. Obviously, I'm a little bit closer, so I shot a little bit wider because it's basically a reframe. So you can do it. So going into this, the process you need to consider is how you're going to shoot it. So of course we were using 6K high-res anamorphic mode. We had an anamorphic lens and we prepped the workflow accordingly, but that's where it gets a little bit tricky. So let's watch the short film first. Here is the short film we created just for you using footage we have. We're calling it Pain. Here's our layout inside of Premiere. What I want to show you inside of this space specifically is if we were making our sequence, let's go to the sequence settings. And as you can see here, here's the important part, 7680 by 4320, 23976. It's a custom mode that we've built. That is what you need for YouTube. That is the maximum frame size you need for 8K YouTube upload. So there's that, good to go. That's where we're set up. That's how we've done all of our workflow. What we're not going to talk about today is all the DaVinci grading. We're just going to focus on getting you to that point, and then that can be a separate post-house episode when we get there. But today, what we want to do is talk about working out of Premiere and how we're going to get this video done. I like to work in proxies, and the reason I like to work in the proxies is because it chugs if you don't do that. So as we can see here real quick, it is chuggy McChugstein. You can just see it's just not playing very well at all. It just doesn't work well versus if I play that similar shot in real time, and you can see it's moving fine, there's no issue. Though it's smaller on the frame, that's fine, we're just cutting it together. You can even scale these up if you want to, it doesn't really matter. The important part is, I like to work with the proxies because I think it's a better workflow, and then I send it off to Jeff who does the colors. So you've got your footage, you went out, you shot some amazing stuff because all of you shoot amazing stuff, I'm sure of it. You've got your amazing stuff, so what you need to then do is pull up Edit Ready, and we use Edit Ready. You can also use, I believe Media Encoder works as well. We just like Edit Ready because it's faster. Here's our footage. So we're going to pull some stuff from Heirloom that you haven't seen, like some new shots and whatnot. So what we have is we have our 6K shots, right? So you have all the shots you need to transcode. And yes, you do need to transcode them to bring them into Premiere to make this work. So what I suggest doing is dragging the file directly into Edit Ready. And under the presets here, I would go and change it to 444. And the reason why is because when you send it to your colorist, or if you're going to color it yourself, you can work off a nice high-res image that's basically the negative, right? It's going to have all the color information and whatnot. The thing is, you don't want to change anything in it. You want the image to stay the same. So as you can see, we've kept the image exactly the same here. We're not changing anything under the settings. We're even leaving the scratch audio because you never know. And then what you want to do is keep the file name the same. That's what we like to do. You can encode it however you want. You can tag that stuff on there. This is not necessarily an edit ready tutorial as much as it is just getting you prepped to do it. So we have a destination folder. You pick that. I like to put it wherever it's going. In this case, it's going into the camera department folder. You hit convert all and boom, it's off and running. Now, inside of Edit Ready, same process, we're gonna drop our file, right? So we've transcoded all of our footage into full res. Now we want low res version. So under preset, I like to work in ProRes 422. This is not to be graded. This is just to be edited with, right? We're gonna treat this like everyone wants to be cinematic, but nobody wants to do the work. So here's how you do the work. We're doing an offline online profile. So we're going to set it to ProRes 422. Then the important part is we've got our destination set, and usually I call these proxies. We're going to hit edit under additional options, right? And that's where we go to frame resizing. And this is the key element that makes a difference. Under frame resize, go to custom. Under custom, you're really going to want to make this 2048 by the anamorphic sizing is going to be 1536. That's your anamorphic 1:1 ratio scenario, right? So when you convert that, bloop, we start the process. I've already done it. So you convert it, and once you have that converted, you now have these nice little working proxy files that you can then do an online connection to. So we can connect to those files when we need to. And the process of doing that is very, very, very simple. So what we have down here is we have the original file, which if we double click on it, you can see it's here. This is before I've done anything modifying to it. So we'll just, like we said, we right click on it, modify, interpret footage, go ahead and conform it over and force it into the anamorphic space. And what you can see is over on the right side here, this guy right here, come on, big mouse. But on this side here, you can see how small the frame is. And so let's say we've got all of our clips, and let's say you were given clips back, meaning every one of these shots was given to you at the proper resolution. Each clip was 7680 by 4320. You can drop those in and go that route. You know, if it's one long thing, you can drop them in that way. Or if you want to do an offline, online, let's say you wanted to grade it yourself, the trick to that would be is you've got your edit done, duplicate your timeline. That's what I suggest doing to anybody. Duplicate your timeline. And then here, all we want to do is basically reconnect this clip with an offline online process. So what we'll do is over in the bin side over here, we're going to right click on it, and we're going to click replace footage. And we're going to go find the full resolution transcodes. As you can see, we've got lots of stuff here. We're going to go find the full resolution transcodes, which are in this folder, transcode test, edit ready, no change. There's the 1179. So you can see, look how big that file is, 10.85 gigabytes. These are massive files. So just keep that in mind when you're working in this. You're dealing with a lot of traffic. We're just going to hit open. It's going to replace it. Boom. It's done. It's still not right because you still have to go into that clip. One last step, modify, interpret footage, go ahead and conform it to that anamorphic love that we all enjoy so very much. Pop. Now it's correct on the timeline. And again, like I was showing you guys earlier, if you look up here, you have 100 up here, and you can scale it all the way down. I mean, as far as you want to go, but 77 is about the edge of it. So if you wanted to do like, you know, a 239 or something, you can put some helpers on there and get you there. I think 239 is about 82. It's somewhere in that range, but you can crop it out wherever you want to do it. For our cases, we're going to keep it at 100 for now. So now it's at 100. You have your file done. You do that for all of your clips. That's it. You're done. You've literally made the 8K piece. Now, the most important last section of all of this you have to deal with, once you have your movie ready to go, let's say it's all complete, you have your movie ready to go, you are just going to export it to YouTube. And to do that, we're just going to pull up our export settings here. This is where it gets pretty important to deal with it. So what you want to do is under format, you're going to go down to, let's see. You can do a 264, or you can have a little more fun and do the 265. And when you do the 265, this is the key stuff. So I'll use the preset. You can see here, I've already built one. I'll go through it with you guys. 8K UHD is a preset. It's set up. Make sure you change your frame rate because it got funky there. So it's set up correctly. Now, this is the important step of this, is that in this area, you want to go and click main 10, Rec 2020 color primaries. I know it says HDR. You're going to be tempted to export HDR. Currently, that don't work. So turn that bad boy off. But why you do want the Rec 2020 is because 8K is 2020 color space. So it has to come out with that Rec 2020 color primaries tagging in it. That then allows you to go in and tweak this stuff down here, wherever you want to put it. 120, this is the YouTube suggested videos, or suggested bit rates. And if you look at their page, this is what they say to do. Name your file. We're just going to call it job test, whatever. And you don't need to see where that goes. Anyway, we're going to drop it. Not there. That's dumb, Drew. There we go. Test upload. Yay. Happiness prevails. We have that bad boy ready. It's already huge. This is a 265, but it's 11. Well, it's 1149, so it's pretty beefy. It's a fairly beefy file for 1 minute. You got to think about how epically huge that is. So now all you got to do is make sure everything's happy-pappy. Like I said, this is not perfect by any means. You can see the frame size is going to be off because we haven't replaced all these files. Jeff's currently grading those files, or was. He left for the day. But the principle is the same. Once they're all graded, everybody's happy. They're in Rec 2020 color space. That's a key part of this ingredient, is your color delivery, which is a whole separate video that I'll let Jeff get on. You kind of can do it with Lumetri. You kind of can't. So just keep that in mind. 8K is a little bit trickier. It's a little bit more technical, but you can at least get some stuff up there. You're going to hit the export button, and you're going to sit here for a long, long time. So I highly suggest getting a cold beer, sitting down, putting on some records. Currently, I'm jamming out to this bad boy, the Olympics, just jamming out to old Olympics music, whatever that means. And then sit down and enjoy yourself. So I changed shirts. I really did. Had a client call, have a meeting. That's what happens. Needed a collar. Sometimes I keep a collared shirt. Pro tip, keep a collared shirt in your office at all times. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. If you want to learn more about the post-production process, make sure you join us and check out the Post House, where Jeff goes through post-production miracles and other gimmicks so that you can become a better post wizard should you need to be one. All right, that's going to do it. Cheers.